Welcome back to my Reloading Bench YouTube. This is Mopar Madman, going to give you another update on some velocity and some group data that I shot my Brugger Precision Rifle in 6.5 Creedmoor. As you'll see on the bench, kind of give you guys a little bit of an idea of what I've been shooting, what I worked up, give you all that data. You guys can do whatever you want with it. Same speech as always, don't copy, do your own. But this is my experience, this is what I got. I will tell you from this range trip what I shot. I shot the 6.5 143 Creedmoor Hornady bullets, and I was so excited about these guys. These are, by the numbers, one of the bullets to have. The advertised ballistic coefficient of this ammunition is 0.625. This is rated at 2,700 feet per second, even though Hornady themselves advertise possible projectile velocities in upwards of 2,800 feet per second, though I haven't pushed it here yet, folks. So I'll give you data that I shot, I'll give you loads that I worked up. Most of them will be on your screen in case you're tired of listening to me, as you probably are already, and we'll go from there. So we'll start off, I'll show the groups that I shot. First I started off, I shot 3 groups of 5 of the Hornady Precision Hunter ammunition. The advertised velocity on this ammunition is 2,700 feet per second. Out of 15 rounds, the average velocity was 2632. The standard deviation on this was 20.1, and the extreme spread was 78. I'm going to put the 3 groups that you'll see on the screen that I got. Basically, 3 groups measure 1.6, 1.62, and 1.76 inches. Keep in mind, folks, this is at 150 yards, not 100, because that's as far as I can shoot, so that's what I try and shoot. So, just over an MOA, a little bit worse, but I really was hoping for better out of this ammunition. There's some people that report great results with this projectile, and frankly, it just wasn't for me. The one thing I will note, the distance to the lands with the factory ammunition is fairly significant. At the factory length, these are about 2.80, 2.81. The factory load data from Hornady has an overall cartridge length of 2.80, though these are a little bit heavy. I'll pull out the calipers for you guys. Just to start off this particular round, 2.813. So those ones I measured out of the box for 2.81 in that realm, give or take a couple. So what did I do? I said, well, usually they're going to go close to the lands, and so for all my hand loads, which I worked up 50 hand loads for this projectile, and shot all those groups. And so I'm going to put all the load data on your screen. So where did we start out? So guys, the loads we worked up for these bullets was all with H4350. I did 10 ground groups. A lot of people do 5. I just did 10. I guess for no better reason than I was hoping to get great patterns, and I maybe shoot 2 groups of 5 and see how they worked. So I started at 39.5 grains, and so every 10 I went up a half, and so I went 39.5, 40, 40.5, 41, 41.5. 41.5 is Hornady's advertised max load for H4350. So, as we went along, when we started at 39.5 grains, the estimated velocity, according to my Hornady book, which is not really in my Hornady book, but if you go on Hornady's website, because it's not in the current published version, there is a page out of there, and you can say that H4350 advertised velocity is approximately 2,600 feet per second. Going up from there, the 41.5 grain load is 2,700 feet per second, according to the book. Now, that's the book. Let's get to reality. So back to reality. The reality is not so nice, my friends. 143 grain Hornady, for the 143 grain projectiles, the velocity for 39.5 grains average was 2530. I did get some better standard deviations of 12.3. So I beat my factory ammunition. However, my average velocity was obviously lower. You're probably looking at the whole thing on the screen because I'm not going to list all these separately. Though if you're just listening, I guess, the 40 grains, 2556 was my average velocity, standard deviation of 13.6. The 40.5 grains were 2585 feet per second, standard deviation of 16.9. 41 grains, I was up to 2613 feet per second, standard deviation of 18.4. Max load of 41.5 grains on these. Estimated velocity of 2700 feet per second. The average velocity of 2648, so just slightly over factory. And I did get my standard deviation down to 14, extreme spread of 41. So technically, I guess I did beat the factory ammunition. However, I shot these in 10-shot groups, and I'll put those images on the screen for you. None of these were impressive. I should say too, the overall length, which is on your screen that I just mentioned now, 2.850. This was 20 thousandths off my lands. In a previous video I did mention I've got the Magpul AICS magazine that allow you an overall length max of 2.86, and so I want to leave a little bit of room in the magazine just so they'd function a little bit better. That's why it's 2.85, so that is about 20 thousandths off my lands. And unfortunately, it did not seem to improve my accuracy whatsoever over the factory. The factory loads were just over MOA. My 10-shot groups with these projectiles was in the ballpark of 2.5 inches. 2.4, 2.6, 2.26, 2.56 was actually was the load that had the lowest extreme spread. So frankly, folks, very disappointed with the results. Honestly, after shooting all day with such horrible results compared to the first time I took this gun out, I wondered if I bumped something, did something wrong. I was basically using the same rest setup I did last time, and so I basically was not having a good day at the range. Still always better than the day at work though, right? Any day at the range is better than the day at the work. So I was boggled, frustrated, I didn't know what I'd do. I was really hoping, I had great hopes for these 143 grain ELD-X. There are great reports of these online, so I hate to tell you, throw them right in the trash can. But right now, I do not have a load that I would recommend anybody even dream of trying. Honestly, I was very disappointed with the results that I got, and questioning my ability to even pull the trigger. So, moving forward, as said, I got my brass here. I'll post a close-up of that online. It does go from the coolest load to the hottest load. So if you guys want to pause it and stare at those for an hour on your screen, you can. The short answer is there really is no significant pressure signs. I feel completely safe with my gun at max load for what Hornady says. I'm pretty sure that people actually push these just a little bit hotter. But right now I don't necessarily see a reason to. I'm very much thinking of possibly working up a super performance load with these and see if 100 feet per second faster might do something better for these projectiles in my gun. But right now, again, very disappointed with the groups that I shot out of those. And if you're looking at the screen, you can probably see why. So guys, moving along, I worked up 50 of the ELD-X 143 grains, and I had 70 pieces of brass to work with. And so I only had 20 left, and so my 20, I decided I would do some velocity workup with my 140 grain ELD Match that I believe I gave you guys some data on back in my first video with my introduction. So moving right along, the next projectile that we're going to talk about is these 140 grain ELD Match. These are a good option, folks, according to the data. If you looked at my last video where I gave the projectile workups, what do you think? This is the second best ballistic coefficient that Hornady advertises. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying that's the number that's on the box. These have an average ballistic coefficient of 0.610. I'll pop the information quickly on your screen to show you what that is. And if you looked at my previous video, you should look at the drop table, and you would understand why we are playing with these. These do appear to seem to be a realistic option for taking these things out to distance. So, I only worked up 4 5-shot groups. We started at 39.5 grains of H4350. We were working with a cartridge overall length of 2.80. We basically went with factory book loads on these. So we stepped up in half grain increments. So I went 39.5, 40, 40.5, and 41. I will note 41 grains is a tenth of a grain over Hornady's max advertised load for this, but only by a tenth. And with all the data that I've seen so far, I really wasn't worried about that, though obviously as I was shooting I was looking for pressure signs. So folks, with these 140 grain projectiles at 39.5 grains, Hornady guesstimates that your velocity at 39.5 grains with H4350 to be somewhere about 25-75 feet per second. The advertised velocity that I got with my 39.5 load was 25.47. The max load that I said we worked up with these, basically 41 grains, a tenth over max. They say 26.50 is what you should get at 40.9 grains. So you'll see the chart online. I shot 4 or 5 shot groups. Average velocity of the first group 25.47, SD of 13.3. The 40 grains was average velocity of 25.73, standard deviation of 19.3. The 40.5 grain low was an average velocity of 26.08 feet per second with a standard deviation of 5.41. What a load. The last group of 41 grains, average velocity of 26.48, so right at that 26.50 advertised velocity with a standard deviation of 6. I will tell you those were the best SDs of the day, folks. So, and with all those, let's see some groups. I was about to think that this gun didn't know how to shoot anymore, and then of course after shot those horrible groups I start off with the best group of the day. Yes, that one is 39.5 grains, so it's only cricking down the thing at 25.50 feet per second. And that group, folks, measured out at 0.68 inches. Again, that is 150 yards. So quite an acceptable group. Like to have a little bit more velocity. However, most of the groups from that were really right in there at an MOA or better. Some of those significantly better than an MOA. And yeah, that last group that I shot was 1.1 inches, so just over 3/4 an MOA. So this gun obviously far prefers the 140 grain ELD Match projectiles at this time. I do have quite a few of the 143 grain ELD-X, so you guys could probably see some follow-up information on those. I'm going to mess around with some powder. I'm going to mess around with some overall length. Get back to you and see if I can actually get a load down range that's acceptable for this rifle. But right now I will tell you the factory recommended loadings from Hornady for this the 140 grain ELD Match projectile is a great starting place. I just got my velocities worked up. I intended to go over some overall length differences on the next one to see if I could, move it a little bit further away or closer to the lands to see if that group's improved. But I will tell you that at least for me, under half an MOA is a winner. I would like a little higher velocity though, so I'll see if I can do that with a higher velocity load. Same thing as before. I'll give you a close-up of those. No pressure signs whatsoever on any of these. Really, even at that tenth above max, certainly nothing that makes me afraid of that load. I wouldn't hesitate to work that up again. And obviously, as loads increased, the standard deviations dropped, way down in the single digits. And I'm really impressed that load's consistent. So maybe even those groups opened up slightly because of my inability to shoot well. So, but I will tell you those certainly were better than the other groups that I shot the rest of the day, and I won't be afraid to load some more of those up. So, I've showed you my groups, I've showed my data. I really don't have a lot else to report to you guys this time. If you guys, this first video you've seen, like, subscribe, comment below. If you haven't got to your favorite projectile and you've watched the first video, go back and look at the other projectiles, and I'll show you what I'm working on. I might not be, to them as fast as you'd like, but I'm as fast as I can get them. So I'm going to get these guys loaded for the next round, and when I get these loaded, I'll come at you guys with some more information, more velocity data, more group data, and I will go from there. But the short answer from this video right now, where I'm at, the 143 grain projectiles, I wouldn't shoot them if you had the option to find the 140 grains. pick a box of those up, load them, and shoot them. My rifle's really liking those. But I'm not giving up on the 143s. I'll see if I can get the groups tightened up, and I'll come back with some more information and follow that up. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. Tell me what you want to see next. If there's another bullet that you haven't seen in my video that I can shoot that's a contender, let me know what it is. If something else you guys want to see, have a comment. Hope you guys like the video. Any questions, post them below. And YouTube, have a great day.